we are going to talk about tonight, guys, what coins have been in their own trend. So something like Binance coin, I know sometimes Craig, you trade it chartered in Satoshis or in Bitcoin,
Mm.
but also in actual terms of US dollars, it's one of the few coins that's been going up in value ever since February, um, which is
So
always
good
good to
run.
see. Binance is playing silly buggers, says Mitch. So very true.
Well,
No
I think
complaining though.
I think one of the things with Binance, I'm just sort of freestyling here from my theory, not so much trading. I'll show you a chart in a minute, but I'm a big believer in investing in tokens and companies that have a real business case that are making money, and we all know Binance is making a expletive free lots of money. All right, they're making a lot of money right now, so I see that as being a bit of a sensible safe haven to some extent because the business is operating. That it's not going anywhere unless crypto dies. And we're
Yeah.
not of the opinion that's going to happen.
No, no. Taking on Deutsche Bank in terms of profits. So, okay, we've got 150 odd watching now. So, let's get into it and talk about what sort of things, I guess, in general, before we go to the charts, Craig, that you would look for trading trends.
Yeah, I mean, I try and keep it very, very simple. Higher lows, higher highs for an uptrend.
And
Lower lows, lower highs.
and putting more weight in the longer term time frames. So
Oh yeah,
obviously it takes more for weekly higher lows, blah blah
yeah.
blah, than a 15 minute. We don't put a lot of weight in that for people that are getting into all this space, I guess.
Yeah, spot on, mate. It's multiple. So I guess I'll look for convergence and divergence. If we're getting down towards a low and there's a trend reversal and we see divergence on say a weekly and a daily chart, because I look for trend reversals on the higher time frames. Multiple time frame agreement is really important to me. So if I'm looking at the daily, I want to see the daily, the weekly, and the monthly. If they're all agreeing, then you know
Yeah.
we're good.
And again,
But
for beginners, I think I've done some videos on MACD, some introduction stuff about what divergence and all that sort of means. Some people use the stochastics and different indicators, those squiggly lines we see. So we might, do you want to flick over to the charts because I think there is some good divergence on the 4 hour Bitcoin chart from memory.
yeah,
And
sure.
just
Let
show,
me
let's just show
whack that
people
up.
what we're sort of looking at and what we want to see for a trend change. So I've got Craig, I've got your charts on full screen now for everyone
You
watching at
bet, mate.
home.
Romeo that. All right, so let's jump to the 8 hour because this is where it's really clear. Before I go into divergence, I've got to tell you what convergence is. And essentially what I'm looking for is this is my MACD, and this is straight out of the box setting. There's nothing special fancy about this. It literally is click MACD and you've got it.
Yeah,
I want to see as price makes new lower lows. I want to see the MACD making lower lows as well. So as you can see, throughout this period, let's zoom in on this little area here. As we saw price make a new lower low here, notice this low to this low to this low, which are significant lows. We saw the MACD also setting new lower lows. Now that's what you call conversion. The reverse, and that's what you want for a strong trend. Okay, so
yeah,
you want convergence. Now the reverse of that is when you've got divergence, where we see lower lows set in, but the MACD doesn't. Now you read the MACD, the RSI, the CCI, the stochastics. They all tell a very similar story, and you read them the same.
yeah. So just for the people at home, can you just draw a trend line on the price going down and making those lower lows for us? Have
Oh,
you got
sheesh, a
a?
trend line. Let me see. I haven't drawn one of them for a long time.
um,
I think you're
and
talking
just a
about that.
just a visual representation of the MACD making
I'll
making.
tell you what. If we're doing a visual representation, I'll show you what probably makes more sense. 'Cause I'm used to explaining it this way. I'll just draw in. There's a low there, right?
Yep,
But you want to draw in your low. So we want to draw in equal that low, this low to this low. So I'll draw in the support down here, right?
yep,
Then we see a new low here, and you'll note that this hasn't broken that low.
yep,
See that? And
yep.
same over here.
So, just for people at home, I guess one way to think about this is that price is continuing to go lower and lower, but the moving averages are running out of steam. And sometimes that can mean maybe the selling or the short traders that are pushing the market down are kind of running out of momentum. Is that a good way to describe it for the.
Yeah, so the MACD is a momentum indicator. I don't take trades based on the MACD. I will leave trades So I will not take trades based on the MACD solely for the purpose that it can be a nice indication as to when momentum is starting to wane. Now, that
Yes.
doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to play out. Keep that in mind. That doesn't, just because we've got divergence, because what I don't want to do is people go, oh, divergence bouncing from, oh, I'll buy there. No, don't do that.
Yeah.
It's just an indicator that helps me to decide whether there's a high probability of continuation or perhaps not.
And on that point there as well, so the third last candle there has got a nice long wick, and also I've done a video about introduction to candlesticks. But as you said there, that candle and a long wick, it's a bit of a hammer or a dragonfly doji. So they have these fancy names. You don't have to worry about all that. All that is something else that can just give you a little bit of a clue. So you should never say, oh look, there's a candle that looks like that, or the MACD did this. It should all be the little things that help you build clues and build a picture. I know you're big on checklists before you enter trade, so that's, I guess, just a good message to get across.
It's a confluence of events, basically. That's exactly what you're saying, though. You should never take a trade based on one reason. I mean, if you're taking a trade based on one reason, then you're probably going to have some pretty humble lessons coming up.
Do we want to talk about volume, or we're kind of talking about all these little things that we look at a little bit?
Let's throw volume in. I don't trade volume, but like I was saying before, to you, Alex, I do keep an eye on it for certain events, and you can see. Look at the seller volume, much bigger, isn't it?
Yeah, Coinbase hasn't always had the most accurate data, but I think that's pretty good, pretty similar to the other exchanges I've been looking at. So it wasn't huge in terms of that. That special candle we were just describing, the third last one. It doesn't have huge buyers stepping in as much as the big red candles, the sort of 10 candles before it, for example. That's kind of what I'd be looking there, that it's not a huge bottom that's in the past where you see huge volume mark a key turning point. So anything else to add to that, Craig, in terms of volume?
Look, here's what I've been studying, right? So, as I say, I don't use volume for trading, but I have been investigating it more because this is a very new market, and obviously we've seen volumes dry up.
So that period there, where your mouse is now, is where the data's incorrect, where it's very low.
Yeah, okay, that's what it is. Because even if you can, like, I looked at that and thought that just looks madness. I've been, thank you for telling me that, because I've been just racking my brain as to why there's so much volatility but so little volume. But if this is correct leading up, I mean, you look at the volume that we have now compared to even the volume when we were down around 2,000-3,000. I mean, look at this. Let's hold the mouse cursor at the average volume through here. Let's say it's roughly about here, right?
Yeah.
We've been consistently under the average volume of Bitcoin for the last 12 months. Consistently under that. What does that mean? I haven't got a theory that makes enough sense for me to really hypothesize beyond just noticing it. But I am hearing a lot of people say that the over-the-counter market has become a much bigger market.
Over-the-counter would definitely be one thing. I think Coinbase was responsible for adding 100,000 users a day at one stage, whereas a lot of traders now are maybe using Binance, or they've learned how to trade a bit more, maybe going on Bitfinex. BitMEX has become popular for big margin trading. So I think Coinbase was that huge on-ramp, which could definitely be one of the reasons, but combination of factors, I guess.
Where'd Bitfinex go? There it is.
Yeah.
So I think here's a better indication of that. Okay, let's have a look at that. But look at how it's just trailed off. I mean, we really have seen. Look, it's not that surprising, is it? I mean, I noticed some of your posts about the Google searching. We're not seeing as much frequency in searches, which it's an indication of interest.
Yeah,
people are not as interested right now. It's just the way it is.
Do you want to move on to Binance and show people an example of something that has been trading counter to the market trend?
Sure. Let's have a look at it against. We want to look at Tether, first. Is that right?
Or calculated dollar. Either way, right. Yeah.
Either way, they're both about the same anyway.
Yeah.
So, look. To be honest, when I look at this chart, It is one of the few that are holding up against the dollar. Let's be honest. It's, there's not much to choose from, but it's not the most inspiring chart for me for trading at this stage. Now, we in my scans each day, we had been watching it against the dollar, especially when we pulled back. We set that higher low. So here's a trend reversal, right? So we were pretty messy through here.
Yep.
There's three types of trends. There's an uptrend, a downtrend, and no trend. We were in no trend land for quite some time and just a bit of a mess. When we saw it push on up from 11 up to 17 or a bit beyond and pull back for the higher low and push to a new higher high, at that point we became interested because it was like, okay, cool, we have a trend in play. Now, I typically will scan the against dollar pairs and against Bitcoin. So I just want to show you against Bitcoin because I found better chart structure, as you can see here, against Bitcoin. Of course, if we're looking to build our Bitcoin stack, this is the perfect way to do it. If we're looking to even just make dollars, well, then there's also the opportunity of doing that. We just hope that Bitcoin remains relatively still because we can still bank our profits in Bitcoin, then sell Bitcoin back to Tether or whatever we want to do, however
Yeah.
it works.
Yep.
But I can recall back here. Most people know that cradle zone, small bullish candle in that cradle zone, yada yada, the beginning of the rules, right? We had talked of this in the group and sort of said, look, is this a trade? And the actual fact of the matter is it wasn't. Look, it's very easy for me to have said that was and look like a hero here, but I'm not about that. The reason why, for anybody who was a little bit confused as to why not, there's a lower high here and here. Now, there's no lower low, so there's no downtrend, but it's in a bit of a consolidation period. And as much as I said, look, it does look very likely that it will push on really well. Just because it looks likely doesn't mean there's opportunities. But look at how it pulled back.
Yep.
Really lovely trade. And here, so coming back to, sorry for waffling on for so long, but it's kind of relevant. Talking about trends, here's a reversal of that trend. There's a lower high and a lower low. Now, admittedly, it's not it's a very early stage reversal. It's not a strong, long running trend reversal. So it's definitely one of the better charts out there. Well, has been anyway, performing very well.
Cool. So what do you want to move on to next? Sort of the clues that you'd be looking for Bitcoin to start that uptrend, or do you think that we're still in a very clear downtrend? Are you looking into the 5,000s now as well?
Yeah. So basically, I'll break it down. I'll get rid of the volume so it's nice and clear. The next level of support is down at 5,400 ish. There's look, that's desperado town. Like there's very little one test, two tests, very little in the way of support at that point. But that is the next level that I'm looking at. The only thing that we've got that is like literally, guys, the only thing that I personally see as being not bearish is the fact that we're divergent. Because if we go through and look at the weekly, right, let me get rid of these lines just to make it a little bit clearer. I'll just get rid of some of this stuff, make it nice and easy to see. Notice this: lower high, lower low, lower high, not lower low, lower high. Now it's a lower low. So now we've got the moving average is fanning really nicely. Good, strong convergence too, I might add. Notice how it broke down here and it broke down. So as it broke to new lows, the MACD was also breaking to new lows.
Yeah.
So the weekly is undoubtedly in a downtrend. Fact of life. It just is. Jump to the monthly. And we notice the big. This gives us some perspective as to how ridiculous things can get. It's a big cool, everyone. Obviously, went absolutely Burko, pulled back. This was our higher low on that monthly. Then we saw this, bit of a run around, bullish candle. Ever so gently broke the high of that candle. At that point, it was starting to look a lot more bullish. We had the lower high, we had a bullish candle breaking the highs, yada yada. Now we've actually broken the low of that candle. So let's have a look. The low is 5873, 5777. So that was the last bastion of hope. Now we have essentially a new lower or a potential higher level. We are starting to see these lower highs come in. So across the daily, we're in a downtrend. The weekly, we're in a downtrend. The monthly, I wouldn't call it a downtrend because it's not really been pulling back that well, but it's definitely a lot more weak than it is bullish. So it's very difficult right now to have anything other than a Investor, I am long, I am bullish long term. Trader, there is nothing bullish from my point of view right now on Bitcoin and the top 10, really.
Cool. I like it. I like it. What else do you want to talk about, mate? Other things you look at in terms of non technicals? What else do you want to talk about? Because I know everyone wants to know where the bottom is, and at some stage, the whales and a lot of people that took a lot of profits start to step in and say, look, it's pulled back 70%. I now think this is a good entry for long term again.
Well, it's just such a difficult question to answer with any certainty. I mean, being honest, I mean, there's just nothing really there to hold us at the moment. You're quite right in the sense that the market will turn when the powers that be enter or want it to turn. What I am quite interested in is the over-the-counter marketplace. I know that there has been some big volumes being traded through OTC platforms. Now,
Yep.
what do they know that we don't? I mean, if look, being realistic, this market's 250 billion. Apple's got a balance sheet that could literally buy the entire market. So you can manipulate it.
I was going to say, do you want to bring up any more charts, or do you want to bring it back to chat? We'll go back to the window.
Yeah, good point. Let me just, I mean, honestly, the only thing that I would add is for anybody that has taken a Bitcoin Cash hedge short from back here, just to update, if you are in a position such as this, as it's created a new lower high, the stop loss now, a good option would be to have it here, something for you to consider. Obviously not financial advice, because we have got a new lower high, and the hedge has been working really, really nicely. As far as right now, would I be looking at trading opportunities? Here's the reason that I wouldn't. I just see major divergence here on the 8 hour. We did drop, we've pulled back in. It's a small bearish candle, tick, 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 up, big, strong divergence. So right now, honestly, it's probably one of the most inactive periods of trading activity I've had in quite some time. So if you're not finding a lot of trading opportunities, don't sweat it. You're probably doing the right thing if you're not finding lots of trades.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of a trend, pardon the pun, guys. A trend I've noticed on Twitter and a few of the other trading groups and social media is that some of the guys that have been making good shorts trades and making money on the way down are now starting to sort of cover those positions and let it play out. And we are in a bit of a no man's land near that triple bottom. We haven't had the daily close below 6,000. And as we said, those traders, they're not here to make Bitcoin go to zero. They're here to make money. So just like they've made trades on the way down, they will start to jump in and push Bitcoin up once the bull market resumes.
Absolutely. Look, I can't wait for it to go back up. I mean, yes, I'm making money on the way down. Yes, of course I am. That's what I'm a trader. But I mean, and I'm not just saying I want it to go back up purely for the sake of my investments. And it's just a much nicer environment when everyone's doing well. It's because, look, at the current market at the moment, it's so much easier to trade long. I mean, I can trade anything against Bitcoin, literally anything against Bitcoin. I can't short anything against Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, BitMEX has been adding a few pairs, but it's just there's no secure accounts, and good traders wouldn't want to put 5 and 6 figures on these kind of unknown exchanges. Your accounts gets frozen or anything can happen. So again, that's probably something that just shows there's professional traders that are. I actually had a talk with someone the other day who said, "Oh, can I short the top 10 or 20?" I said, "Oh, you kind of can on Bitfinex, not really." And they said, "Not interested yet." And until that have that infrastructure in place, Coinbase is changing GDAX to Coinbase Pro and trying to make it very professional. So there's another. Would you agree? There's another whole wave of not only investors but traders to come into the market yet?
Dude, yeah, I'm trying to find a participant to say, partner with me. Let's build this thing to make it proper, because we've got the people to use it. The first mover gets the first mover advantage in this space. You look at the Bitcoin downtrends right now, they're absolutely killing it. I would love nothing more to be able to trade them. It's the best trending market. And even when Bitcoin takes off, you see alts, everything against Bitcoin just gets absolutely decimated. That to me, I looked at that and go, oh, and then I start looking like when Bitcoin was going nuts through December, I'm like, where can I trade this? Where can I trade this? And it's like, well, you can't. It's like, oh, it's painful. So yeah, We need to see that. I'm trying so hard to get somebody to follow me in, or to not so much follow me in, but to sort of go like from my past traditional market experience, the sort of the people that I know, I'm like,
to join in.
let me help you here, please. Give me a way to trade. So yeah, we're trying.
Yeah. I'll keep an eye on some questions if you want, guys. But if you hit the like button if you're enjoying this so far, and get a few more people in watching. I'm trying to look at a few comments here and take a few questions. I think one of the things that is so attractive, obviously, is the percentage moves. I know we said there's no real obvious trends in Bitcoin, but the fact that top 10 altcoins are going up and down 20%, I mean, in the stock market, when you say, oh, there's not much action, or Forex, we're talking 0.1% less moves. And here we are saying, oh, there's not much happening, and top 20 coins are going up and down 20%. There's guys out there, in our groups and whatever, that have got familiar with BitMEX now, using 100 times leverage. It's just, there's crazy opportunities in the world of crypto that's why I think all these traders would love it if they understood what was going on and how the world works.
Well, let me tell you something today that I did two things today. Well, I did more than two things, but two things that sort of follow into that segue. I'm actually going to Malaysia on Friday to speak at a big traders fair. I'm the only trader talking about crypto. Now, I started to put some slides together, right? Started to put some the EOS Bitcoin trade, for example, which is one of the top trades this year. I calculated it back after scaling out at 1-to-1. Even doing that, it still had a multiple of profit times 15 on a trade. So, and that's scaling out at 1-to-1. The total distance of the move was times 28. That's on the trade. I'm not talking about the growth. Obviously, it's your risk multiples, just not to confuse that with obviously 28 times growth. And I've got several examples of this. Now, I realize I'm going to blow these people's minds when I show them, because I was a Forex trader. I traded all these different markets, and I only came in crypto last year. Like I came in early, or not early last year. I came in mid last year, and watched it for a while before I started trading it. And then I was like, "Well, this is too good to be true. It's not. It's real." And started just going, I've got to throw everything at it. Now, after that conversation, I spoke to a friend of mine in London, who I traded with I traded with him for a number of years. He's very successful, has properties all over the world. He's a big dog. He's done very well. And I'm like explaining the market to him, saying, "Man, you got to get into this stuff. This is where you got to be." He's like, "Oh yeah." So I brought up TradingView. I showed him the chart. I said, "Yeah, look, it's a bit painful. Some stuff, it's a bit clunky. It's not quite as good, but the opportunity is this." And I brought up the charts. He's like, "Oh."
Yeah.
So I think that once people have got the education, and that education, like traditional market players, traditional traders, the education is simply someone like me going, "I was once you. Let me open your eyes. Let me show you why this is good, because I can speak your language." I think that is going to help. But we do need to definitely tee up some better platforms. But it's chicken and the egg stuff. You've got to have the people that need that before they'll invest in the infrastructure.
Someone's saying, can you explain what you mean by can't trade it? So what sort of platforms do you use, and what coins do they offer to short? And then I might elaborate a little bit.
So obviously Bitfinex is probably the best one. As far as it offers good orders, it offers a bit of leverage, it offers the most pairs. My apprentice Luke Inkson, who's also in your group, he spent a lot of time going through all the exchanges and signing up to accounts to work out who had what, and found out that Bitfinex is, and he did a video that's posted tonight, basically found out Bitfinex is the one.
That's the one I've been trading on for years, and
it's our best option at the moment. It really is. There are other options out there, but they just don't really come close. And that some of them just don't, simple things like entry and stops on the same order book. I mean, it's just stupid that they don't offer it.
Have you been paying much attention to traditional markets? We saw a nasty sell-off in the Dow again last week, and a lot of people sort of saying, equity markets, how high can they go? I remember last year someone calling Netflix a bubble at $200. I think it hit $400 last week. And the FANG tech stocks, everyone, tech's the future. But I kind of think tech's the future, but maybe it's not so much some of these tech stocks. Maybe some of these, blockchain startups are actually going to surprise the traditional markets with what they do.
I think they already have. Yeah, I mean, the thing that you've got with traditional markets, though, is you've got a business model you can actually explore into. You can go and get the balance sheets, you can see the debt ratios, you can see the growth, you can kind of get right into the model because it's a publicly listed company. So all the data that you need is available. Different kettle of fish with crypto. We are, as in you and I, Alex, and the people that are listening to the content that we put out, we are a little bit more. We're a bit closer to the source, and we can speak to projects and we can ask them the questions that we want to know. I.e., for me, it's really important. You're definitely more privy to the tech than I am, for sure. But I've been, looking at companies for a long time through my investment background, and I kind of like to invest in projects. That's why I said I understand Binance a bit, that are actually up and running.
Amazon, I think, still doesn't turn a profit, but some of these tech stocks are trading on future earnings multiples 50, 100 higher. So I know people say, your crypto's overvalued, you can't value it. But a lot of the time in the tech world, even in traditional markets, they're priced on future potential, even 5 years out. That's a fair statement. Would you agree? Or?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Amazon could turn a massive profit. No questions. They have continued to just reinvest into their infrastructure, into their business, which is, I mean, if you speak to any successful entrepreneur or business owner, that's what you've got to do. I mean, excuse my French, what I'm about to say. If you're scared of the S word, then tune out quickly, mute your ears, block your ear holes. But I mean, Gary Vee says it well, is that you've got to eat shit for years. You got to do the hard work, and you're going out and trying to buy that Ferrari or that fancy car or the thing that keeping up with the Joneses, that's wonderful. You can do that, but you're going to stunt the growth of your business. So Amazon and Bezos has kind of been, I certainly don't think he's eating any shit, but he's done the hard yards and they've reinvested everything back in. So you're quite right.
Similar in crypto, there's a few projects that have been around in that very early days. So DGX, gold-backed token.
Yep.
Olga, the prediction markets. There's a few companies, Aragon doing decentralized companies. There's a few companies that have been around and have a 3-year or head start. And I think we're going to see those companies really shine through soon, whereas some of these companies that are just launching or, hey, we're going to have mainnet soon and all this stuff, I think people are kind of forgetting how big a 3-year head start is in the world of tech. So, mate,
it's a bit of a turkey in a hurricane thing. People were able to buy what was working back in the olden days, i.e. 7 months ago, 8 months ago, 9 months ago. What was working then, which was, a sniff of good news, send something flying. It's not working anymore. So we're adapting, we're changing.
We've been going for half an hour, so we might wrap it up soon, mate. But a few people have been asking about small cap proof of stake coins, and I know you don't have to understand the fundamentals, but do you have thoughts on stocks, high dividend stocks in the traditional world? You know how you hear people flooding into Telstra because it pays a 5-6% yield, and then Telstra falls 30%, 50%, and they. Oh, okay. I think people have that same attraction to proof of stake coins. They see this 7%, 10% a year annual reward, but they forget that a small, tiny cap crypto could fall 50, 60% at any stage. So just be careful, guys, and do a lot of research with the staking coins.
It's been a fascination of mine in traditional markets for a long time, and it's people go, "Oh no, I'm holding on to my Commonwealth Bank because I get a 7 or 6.5% yield," and it's like, yeah, but that's 6.5% on a 30% decrease in the value of the share price and where you purchased it. Most people don't get that. They don't get that it's a dividend paid on the price of the share. If the price falls by 7%, you break even. If that's your dividend, if the price falls by 30%, you're actually down 23%. Dividends aren't what they're cracked up to be unless we're in a market that's either stable, i.e. going sideways, or even better, up.
Yeah, and there's been a global reach for yield with zero or negative interest rates. People are craving that dividend, and unfortunately a lot of the blue chip stocks that pay dividends have had big falls depending on when you got in. So just be careful out there, guys, with everything. Cool.
Correct.
We might wrap it up there, mate. That's been awesome. I can't believe that half an hour's flown by. So
I know, right?
I hope everyone enjoyed that. If you can hit that like button and let us know in the comments below maybe a different topic to do next time or something, guys. So Thanks for joining us today, Craig.
Good to be back. Cheers,
See you guys.
See you later.